folks, this is Patrick, and this is episode 6, I believe. I can never keep track. At any rate, this is the final episode of this series. This is the CARNAGE 3D model upgrade project. I think I got that right. And this is the AAR. During the AAR, what I talk about is what the plan was for this project, some of the mistakes I made, some things I can do to make the next project better, and basically what I learned from this project and how to improve myself. In case you are not familiar with the channel, I am teaching myself to paint statues, repair statues, and do a little bit of sculpting, and yeah, just basically that's it. So I'm teaching myself to do this stuff, and if you're interested, make sure you stay tuned. There's a lot more that's coming up. All right, we're gonna stop this in a moment, get a good look at it. Okay, I think that's a good side right there. I cannot get any closer to the statue than I am right now because my camera is set up maybe 5 or 6 feet away from it. So what I'll do is talk about it from here, then get the camera off the tripod, get up close and personal, get a close look at it. All right, but for now, you may notice that I am filming this vertically as opposed to horizontally. The reason for that is because this thing is so damn tall, folks. It's about 21 inches tall. This is the only way I could do it so that it looked decent. Another thing, I have a different background here because I wanted to try to get a view from underneath the statue. There's a lot going on that you would not see if I put this in my normal filming area. For instance, the roof of the mouth. You wouldn't be able to see that. I spent a lot of time painting in his mouth trying to get that the right color, and so I want to show off all of that work I put into this. All right, folks, we're going to give him one more spin, then get up close and personal and talk about this project. And a couple of things I can talk about right now is, if you notice the tendrils coming up from the base, the original plan did not call for those tendrils. The base kind of came together on its own as I was working on the project, and I put those tendrils there, and the skulls, most of the stuff on the base, I put it there to try to fill some of the empty space. If you look in between the legs and on the both sides of the statue, you see there's a lot of emptiness. I was trying to fill some of the empty space, and that's the reason for the tendrils coming up like that. And I wanted to add some more, but I did not want to overdo it and put too much on the base. And we'll discuss the base more in a little bit. But the skulls are attached with magnets and with hot glue. If you get a look at that base, once we get up close to it, you'll see that there's a lot of symbiote running all over the base. All of that base is hot glue, folks. The stuff on the skulls, the tendrils going up toward CARNAGE, it's all hot glue. Let me see what else. All right, that's it for now. Let's come off of this tripod, get up a little close, and we'll talk about it some more. All right, folks, we're going to start with the head. You're going to notice some mistakes in this, and that's because the original plan didn't work out the way I planned it. When I started this project, I had no intention of using magnets. However, I got the idea to use the magnets in the neck, in the shoulders, and also here. once I put those magnets in, there were gaps here in the shoulder and the neck. So I decided to go ahead and just seal it up with glue and close it off. And so, of course, now the magnets are useless because I'm not able to take this apart and put it back together. So it's kind of semi-permanently attached. You can see the seams in the shoulders. You can see it in, I think, in that leg right there if you look hard enough, but you can't see it in this leg. And I'm real proud of that. I was surprised how well that turned out. Now, as for the neck, it is very visible. I did try to close this up with some clay, but it did not come out too well. And I'm going to leave well enough alone, folks. If I keep messing with it, I'm going to make it worse. So I'm going to leave it like that. Let's see what else we can talk about. If you saw the other videos in this series, you know that I had to add a little bit of clay to the top of his head because his head was really low. Let's see if I can get up higher. His head was really low. The top of his head was probably right there. So I added all of this up here. And the eyes were too narrow. So I had to enlarge the eyes. Now the tongue. At one point I was thinking about cutting the tongue to make it shorter because I believe that the long tongue is venom sting. And Carnage is okay with the tongue, but sometimes I think it's too long. I wanted to shorten it, but I decided not to. And the saliva, drool, whatever you call it. Now that I'm finished with this project, I'm kind of wishing I had left it clear. And that is hot glue, by the way, folks. Let's see, what else can we talk about here? I think I mentioned this already, but let's get up a little close and look at it. All of these symbiotic veins on the body, that's all hot glue, folks. The original plan was to draw the veins using a pencil and then come back and go over it with strips of clay. No, I'm sorry, not clay, but epoxy. And I changed my mind. I started experimenting with the hot glue. It turned out okay. I think it's okay, so I just went with it, and that's the way I'm going to leave it. The tendrils, original plan called for the tendrils. Hold on, let's spin him around a little bit. The original plan called for probably 4 tendrils. I think in my sketch I had 2 of them coming out the top of his back, and there were 2. Where's my pointer? And there was 1 on this side, 1 on this side. I decided to do away with the ones coming from the top because, as I stated before, this thing is 21 inches tall. Probably one of the tallest, not including the bust, but one of the tallest figures in my collection. And so I was trying to keep it from getting any taller. And if I had put those tendrils up here, that would have made it higher. And I wanted to avoid that. So I decided to bring the tendrils down just on the side and put the short one back here. And let me see, what else? Okay, let's talk about what's inside of this statue, folks. I wanted to keep this heavy on the bottom and not so heavy on the top. This thing is hollow, as you know, and it had a tendency to lean backward and fall backward. So to prevent that, I put baking soda up to about the knee, and that baking soda, it added some weight to the bottom. From the knee up to about here, there is hot glue in there and it's solidly packed in. That added some more weight. And from here on up to here, there's hot glue, but it's not solid. It's coating the inside of the figure. If this falls over and hits the floor, it may crack, but it won't shatter into pieces because the hot glue will hold everything together. Let's see. And I did put a little bit of hot glue in both of the arms and realized that added some weight to the upper body. But again, if this thing falls, I didn't want this to shatter. I wanted something to keep it together. And the hot glue will do that. All right, let's talk about this detail. If you are familiar with 3D printing, you know what poly is. Basically what poly is a lack of detail. Well, let me put it this way. Low poly is a lack of detail. In this figure, if you saw when I started the project, it had very little detail. There was some indication of the muscles, and some of that is still visible. I don't know if this is showing on camera, but you may be able to see where I tried to add some shadow to it in certain areas. I was trying not to lose that muscle definition that it had. However, I did lose some when I put the veins all over the body, but that was just unavoidable. And I know I need to work on my shadowing. I could have done a lot better. Now, in some areas, I admit it looked okay, but in other areas, it doesn't look so great. Another thing that was a first for me on this project was using pins. I used several steel rods. I used steel rods to attach the legs to the body. I used steel rods to attach the arms to the body. And I put a steel rod in the head to attach it to the body. So I'm trying new things with my projects. And speaking of new things, and I'm about to wrap it up, folks. This video is getting a little long. And speaking of new things, this is my first time creating a base with this much detail. I think I've created one or two, but not with this much detail on it. And I was really surprised. I'm proud of my base, the way it turned out. And the skulls, I have to mention these skulls, folks. I have seen so many bases with skulls on them, and I still don't know why skulls are so popular on bases, but I figured, okay, I have these extra skulls laying around. I don't need them for anything, so I'm going to throw them on here and see how it looks, and it turned out okay, I think. Don't know why that's a thing, but it is, so I figured, hey, I'm going to go with it and try it myself. And that's about it, folks. That is the conclusion of this series. If you're interested in this or other videos like this, make sure you stay tuned and subscribe if you are inclined to do so. And as always, I want to thank you for watching this video and thank you for supporting the channel. Now let's find this thumbnail and we're going to call this one a wrap. All right, folks. Thank you. Bye. One more thing that I forgot, and I want to make sure I mention this. Several times I talked about using 2K auto gloss, but that stuff is so expensive, I decided not to use it. Also, it's a little more hazardous than normal spray paint. You need not extra, but you need a certain type of mask to protect yourself from it. And as you know, I'm doing this channel on a budget. I don't have a lot of money for expensive stuff like that. A can of the K2 gloss costs about $20 or more, depending on where you get it. The mask, I don't know what the mask would cost, and I would have to be just very cautious and safe with it, and it would add up to too much money. So what I decided to do in place of using a 2K gloss was I put several coats, probably 6 or 7 coats of just regular gloss on here. And I was going for a gloss, not a glossy, but a shiny look. I saw someone on YouTube use the 2K auto gloss on a Venom statue. The thing looked beautiful. It was shiny And that's the look I was going for. So if it's extra shiny, that is the reason for that. And I just want to highlight that briefly in case the camera did not pick it up before. And you let me know what you think. Did I achieve that goal of making it look glossy and shiny? All right. Thanks again, folks. Bye.